So, should you be doing plyometrics with your clients? If so, when? Again, my name is Dr. Jed Kuntz, and want to go over this topic where we're trying to help you decide if it's a good idea or not that you're actually taking your clients to the point where they should be doing plyometrics or big types of jumping-based exercises. Typically, as trainers, it feels like we want to give our clients the world, right? A lot of them come to us and they want to lose weight, they want to really get it this time, they want to really work hard. And it's kind of like, oh, I can't wait to just slam this person with the toughest exercises ever. And plyometrics are up there. Plyometrics are very difficult for a lot of clients to be able to do. But is it the right client that should need the jumping exercises or not? That's where we should really help you think about kind of the analysis behind it. What are the prerequisites that we're kind of looking for, and how can we kind of check off those boxes, making sure that they're safe to do it? Last thing we want to do is really hit them with a crazy hard workout. They hurt their knee, they hurt their ankle, they're telling you that they're just too sore. They come in the next day and you're like, crap, we're supposed to be losing weight. We're supposed to be gaining muscles. We're supposed to be helping you look good in your wedding dress in a few months, or you're traveling and you want to look great on the cruise. I can't get you to work out if you're sore or if you're hurting yourself. For that reason, I want to kind of sit in and really kind of iron this out. Before we tap into box jumps, which is what I have here, I wanted to help you start to think about just that and those prerequisites needed. So what I'm going to do is transfer over here onto the squat. The point I want to make here, and I am doing it with a band, which is a good training technique, right? But the point I'd like to make is that we should be picky how their squat looks before we're allowing them to jump. We should really be seeing full range of motion. I would consider this full. My femurs are right at 90 degrees, right? So I'm sitting at about, with a femur that's parallel to the ground. My spine looks good. I'm not compensating. Of course, the band gives me a good cue, but again, it's with or without the band is the point here. You should be really picky that your client can perform a great squat. And I would take multiple views. So this is a lateral view. This is a front view. Making sure the knees look acceptable. And I challenge you to be picky in this. Make sure that their knees are right over their third toe and that they're adhering towards all of the traditional squat principles, right? Now, we're not using a barbell or anything like that here. I just want a really good open air squat first. You could also even start to look into a lunge, not shown here, but you can even just make sure that they're lunge and that they're overall moving well, right? Make sure that they're moving well and that they're doing a squat, because that can really give you and I more confidence that your client is able to do that. So what I want to hop in first are those box jumps, because I think that would actually be a pretty good place to start. And let me also say this, and I'll pull these up here right now. So there is kind of a hierarchy. What I'm going to show you today is very superficial, but I just want you guys to start thinking about it. So we just talked about squats. What you could do before you even jump into box jumps, you could do standing squat jumps, okay? But to get there, you could even regress it further. There are multiple kind of color layers here. It's not just black and white. There are a lot of shades of gray before your client could even do a box jump. So I'm taking you back a step again. So we just knocked off squats up here in the top left. But now they could even do fake squat jumps. So you could have them kind of fake, just as it sounds. You could literally have them do like a fake squat jump where they come up, they reach towards the ceilings, but their toes don't leave the platform. They go into their nice little squat. They try to fake like they're going to jump up with some speed, with some pace. They reach up, their knees straighten out at the top, and that would be really the next step. From there, you could do, as shown here, a 50% squat jump, right? So you could just have them do a little bit of a jump. Does that look good to you? Are they landing symmetrically? Do their mechanics and their squat mechanics still consistently look good, even though they left the platform and even though they jumped? And then you could take them even to a full squat jump, so they're just squatting and then jumping in that position. So really, guys and gals, squat jumps would be before box jumps. I wanted to kind of get into the box jumps because I think that's a common exercise a lot of people are doing, but understand that there are a lot of steps before this that people are able to do or should be doing to make sure that it's looking good. Once you've seen that their squat looks good, their fake squat jumps look good, they're able to leave the ground and land symmetrically, then you could start to take them up incrementally. So this is, I want to say that was like 18 inches, but the point I want to make is that you could even start them at 4 inches, right? Depends on who your client is and what their goals are, but you might start them at 4 inches. You could take them to 8 inches, 12 inches, 16, 18, what have you. I really want you to make a thought that you're analyzing their form, their technique, and everything looks appropriate to you. Remember, you're the fitness professional. You're the one that has the potential for a lifetime prescription for your client to keep seeing you. But if they get hurt, a lot of times they're like, well, maybe this just isn't for me. I'm unable to work out with you because my body's just not made for it. No, you might have pushed them too hard too fast. All right, so when you get to the box jump, make sure that they can land softly. I like to see that in the box jump that they can land in that nice full squat position. So that's pretty similar to the position I showed you earlier with my squats. Now, for your CrossFitters and your different type of high tempo boot camp style workouts, you won't see people landing softly like that full range. Why? Well, a lot of times they're going for repetitions. They're talking to their friend and they're being somewhat competitive with themselves intrinsically, and they're really trying to kill it. What I like to cue, at least at the very minimum, is to make sure that you could show me that you could do it that well, right? So if you're going to go out there and if you're going to do a burn boot camp or a CrossFit AMRAP and you're going to really try to go fast, at least show me before that you could have done it slowly and safely and softly with all the right form. Because if I know that you can do this with great form, right? Let's just call this 18 inches. I forgot how high that box was, but we'll call it 18 inches. If I know that you can do that well, then when I get into the boot camp, when I get into CrossFit and I'm really going for reps, chances are I'll be able to do that safely, right? And before we really kind of look into the progression of that, I wanted to bring up a couple of charts straight from the NSCA to get you guys thinking again. So straight from the National Strength and Conditioning Association, this is very wordy, but I just wanted to kind of give you, the thought behind it. We talked about the progression, right? So at the very top, you'll see on the top line there, top row, says jumps in place. So really, you can even look at the left column right now is really all I want you to see. So jumps in place. So make sure that they can do a standing squat jump, a standing lunge jump, a standing tuck jump. Make sure all that looks good, okay? From there, you can progress into multiple hops, right, where you start to jump forwards on a squat jump, right? You could do backwards. You could do side-to-side, double-legged squat jumps. You can progress into bounds, where you're trying to have them really cover a much bigger horizontal distance. It's not as much about vertical. And look, technically speaking, we're all the way down here on box drills, which is where I'm showing you right now. And to be honest, that's like kind of the norm and somewhat almost like low level for a lot of these gyms and where people are training people and really pushing them. I just want you to know, look how much we've kind of skipped over. All right. So what that means is that we really need to kind of be mindful of where that athlete or that client is at functionally, and are they justified to be able to do that? The other thing that you've got to keep in mind is how much volume are you going to be taking them to? Again, this is straight out of the NSCA, and I really believe to adhering to their plyometric protocols to help keep your clients healthy and safe. Plyometric jumps and movements are very fancy and they're great for Instagram and social media, but are they keeping your client safe where they can keep working out? And is that what your client needs? So here is an example of some appropriate plyometric volumes. So if you're a beginner, these are contacts, right, per session, as you can see there in an asterisk below it. So if I was doing those box jumps, well, first off, I would be a little suspicious if I'm a true beginner and if I'm doing box jumps, right? I probably wouldn't even have 80 jumps or contacts. I think that'd be a lot. But just one jump is a contact, okay? So technically you could do 80 of those, and that's all they should have for that day. An intermediate or someone who has a little bit more experience, they could do a little bit more. And if they're advanced, They could take it up even up to 120 and 140. But if you start to think about these kind of really intensive sequences of exercises that people are doing out there, a lot of times I bet they're going way over these numbers. And then they come in with jumper's knee, or their Achilles hurts, or their front of their knee hurts, or whatever it may be. So when you're walking your client through and you're thinking about the plyometrics, really consider, where is this client at? Have you ever done this before? And be picky. Does their form look good to me? Are you ready to progress? If so, great. One progression are actually single leg vertical jumps. Again, if we go back to our type of jumps, multiple hops and bounds, it's kind of a combination of that, but it's also a little bit more progressive because we're doing single-legged. So anytime it goes in a single leg, you just know that's going to be a harder drill. I do like single-legged jumps for a lot of reasons, and one of them is that you can't compensate from side to side. All right, a lot of us have a weaker side. So if we're doing, let's just say the client has a strong left leg or a weaker right leg, they've had problems, that will come up to the surface when you start to do those programs, when you start to do the single-legged jump. So it's kind of therapeutic, it's rehabilitative, and it's eye-opening for them too. They might go, wow, this one side is really difficult. But this is an example of a different type of plyometric that you could do after their box jump looked really good, right? And it's just one angle. We might have even skipped a few steps, but I just wanted to walk you through an idea. And again, be committed. Does their form look like this? Are they rotating their body on the knee? If they're doing that, we don't want it. You're not ready for it yet. We're going to have to go back to a double-legged jump or a modified lunge variation, but you're not ready for this. I really want you to be picky. That basically hurt me to do that, both mentally and physically. Take a note as what we want on the single-legged jumps. Bringing my opposite leg up and through, landing nice and softly, trying to minimize knee wobbliness and trying to increase stability, and I'm sinking right where I came from. So that would be a great example of a single-legged plyometric exercise that you could do, and they don't even have to leave the platform if they didn't want to. You could have them do a fake single-legged jump if they're not quite ready for this, where they would stop right about here, and then they could just go right back down. And I'm telling you, if you had someone do that for 60 seconds, you try and help them burn fat, build muscle on that one leg, build quads, calves, that will do it. That'll get their cardiopulmonary system up, their cardiovascular system up, and all of a sudden, you're the greatest person ever because you gave them a really great workout and a movement that they've never done before. But be picky. If you see this, where they're rotating, their knees coming in, their foot's rotating in, analyze that movement and inform them, you're not ready for this, I want to protect you, I don't want you to hurt yourself, we're going to move on. Okay, or in other words, we're going to regress and find exercise that's more appropriate. But let's say, as we're climbing up the chain of progressions in plyometrics, and let's say that this looked great, there's one ultimate higher level, and that exercise is called a depth jump. Depth jumps, as we can see in our previous NSCA list, are at the very bottom, the most intensive exercise. We're utilizing gravity, we're elevating the starting perspective, right? The starting height. I just use, I think that's 6 inches or so with the riser. Looks like 2 risers. So yeah, when you start high, you have all that energy coming off of both legs, and then you're landing on one with gravity as you're coming down. That's going to be a lot more on the body. That's going to take a lot more work to control that. And if you have them come off of a depth jump and then go into a single-legged jump, that'll add even more work to the body. I also want to show you another cool variation. You jump, land, jump again off one leg, and then I have them immediately sprint to the side. So that's a kind of cool variation. You're getting into a kind of multi-segmental, multi-movements with the plyometric variation. Great for athletes who are really trying to move. But honestly, even for your average Joe who's worked their way up, right? So they've worked their way up. You've made sure that, all right, they can do squats. They can do standing squat jumps. They can do box jumps. They've done single-legged vertical jumps. And we've tested out this height. Looks good. All right, let's turn up the heat and let's really go for it. And that's where you could have them do kind of combined plyometric movements in once. In this case, doing a depth jump, doing a single-legged vertical jump off of that, and then taking off for a sprint. And then you can combine that with whatever type of circuit training. You could literally have them sprint over and do an exercise from that. But do take depth jumps respectfully, because they have just a lot of load to the body. You want to keep your overall volume down, like we talked about. Depth jumps to me kind of account for more, just because there's so much load going on, and they can usually be combined with additional plyometric movements. So you just want to keep that in mind and use your best judgment. Have I really roasted this client? Have I really worked them over? Are they fatigued? Are they showing signs like this is really too much for them? Are they starting to experience any aches or pains in the body? But this actually can be very great from a rehabilitative perspective too. If I'm really trying to get someone's knee to get really strong or their hip to get strong, I'll have them work by just doing a big vertical jump and doing a depth jump. Because remember, that's an eccentric moment. I think that's really key for you to understand. Anytime it's an eccentric type of moment, it's a little bit more work on the body, but it does usually tend to have a nice kind of rehabilitative taste to it based upon the research that eccentrics have done. So that's it, guys. We walked through some ideas about should you be doing plyometrics with your clients, and if so, and when. I generally believe that almost all of us should have at some point trying to attempt our clients to get there. Depends, of course, on their functional fitness level. Certain people may not be able to reach it, but it's great for the cardiovascular, cardiopulmonary system. People don't get up and sprint or move or jump anymore. We sit in our cars, we sit at the computer desk all day. So I do think it's important to kind of dose that into the workout program, making sure that they've met the prerequisites and the requirements. And that's nice to kind of flip-flop the workout days if you have the luxury of seeing someone 3 times a week. Nice big resistance training day, followed up with a nice plyometric day. It's a different type of mode of action, and that way you're kind of stimulating the body in some different ways too. So thanks for hopping on. I hope that was helpful. Have a great rest of your day.